Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thurston Conservation District Board of Supervisors. This is our board meeting for January 28th. We had a work session earlier this evening, and now we're moving on to our business meeting. As we just noted, this thing is being recorded. We have a bunch of changes to our agenda here. So we've moved 3 items from our work session under governance. So we will now talk about the annual plan development, strategic plan outreach, and the CEC under the governance item. The other change is the second executive session on acquisition of real estate has been canceled. So that leaves us with only 1 executive session. So with those changes, we will need a motion on approving our agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, it's been moved by Doug, seconded by Marianne. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there's our agenda. That brings us to the consent agenda. We have 6 items on consent tonight. There were some slight changes between the original agenda that was sent out and what we have in front of us here, but no last minute changes. So we will need a motion on adopting the consent agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Moved by Marianne, seconded by Doug. Vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That has been approved. Item 4, public comment. This is the point at which any member of the public can address the board for up to 3 minutes on a topic that's on their mind that would also be of interest or relevance to the district. I don't see anyone from the public in the room or online here, but if I'm missing something, jump in and tell me. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And then move to our partner reports. We have NRCS listed here, but we don't have anyone from NRCS here tonight. So we'll bypass that one and move to item B, which is the State Conservation Commission. And there is Josh online. Hello, Josh. Welcome. You get the floor.
Hey, TJ. Hey, board. Hey, I just have a few things. So I'll just ask maybe a probing question. How far into the House Bill 2499 did you guys get in your work session? Did you guys cover kind of the bulk of it? Oh, hey, hi, Ryan, Josh. There he is.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. We not only got a thorough briefing from Ryan, we talked about it and came to some consensus among the board on how we feel of some various provisions within that, which Sarah can share with you after the meeting.
That's great. I was able to listen into the hearing this morning. I wasn't able to tune in yesterday, so I appreciate. Well, I just appreciate the legislative process. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if Ryan shared, just maybe just pointing out that, we've got some cutoffs coming up, short session. It's obviously things are much more compressed. February 4th is policy. February 9th is fiscal. And then the House of Origin, a few days later, February 17th. You guys also might be aware that, we did see the governor's budget come out in December. I wasn't able to join your December board meeting. There were some proposed cuts. Our agency is still actually working with OFM to get some guidance on, kind of what things mean with the proposed cuts. And so, with how this whole process unfolds in the governor's budget, I honestly, unless Ryan has more information, that he's already shared, I don't expect much more budget talk until after the revenue forecast is released. I think they meet March 12th, and so things will pick up coming out of that once we start seeing some proposals. If for folks that didn't know, there is a new state FSA director. His name is, I think, Patrick Bell. and he's a Eastern Washington guy. Ryan might actually know him or like know his family. It seems like he's kind of from your neck of the woods, Ryan. Has a farming and ranching background. And so, there you go. New FSA director. FSA has been in, a lot of conversations over the last couple of years with the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. And so, I know that folks who engage in that are probably a little, tuned into what's going on there. And Ryan, I had on my list February 10th is WACD legislative days. So hopefully board members can participate there. And then the last thing I'll mention is, I'll touch on the Chehalis Basin Board. We saw recently, so for years, Grace Harbor County Commissioner Vicki Raines has been chair of the commission or the Chehalis Board. She is stepping down, and that's probably due to her, she's probably stepping down from the flood authority down there. And so there's going to be a new chair, and the statute within the Chehalis Basin Board structure requires that a flood authority, one of the three members from the flood authority is appointed as chair, and that's by the, I don't believe that's by the governor, but they're going to, the governor is going to have to do some action here. And so there may be some delay. Her last meeting is going to be the March meeting. And they've, she's recommended a replacement, and that's the city administrator, I believe from Aberdeen. His name is Brian Shea. But when it comes to who's going to chair the Chehalis, we'll see where that goes. But I've also heard that just, and having been around that space, like appointing, like when it comes to the governor appointing people, it can take some time. And so, as far as, and this is a key time in the Chehalis Basin strategic planning process, there's a lot of moving parts going on right now. And so having a bit of a shakeup will certainly have some impact there. I don't think it's going to delay the timing of the work schedule that they're working on to adopt a long-term strategic plan, but just wanted to flag that for y'all. Other than that, happy to join you guys and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Josh. Any questions for Josh? All right, looks like no. Thanks for being here though, Josh, and thanks for the update.
Thanks.
That moves to the last partner report, which is WACD. It has Sarah's name on here, but since Ryan's with us too, I would invite you both to participate in that.
I yield my time to Ryan Bank.
Okay, there we go.
So I'll go from the local level up. Josh mentioned prep. I'm also going to mention shellfish and ag viability. I did get your email. Those are 3 new task forces that WACD is setting up after the membership vote at our annual meeting to do some work on different components of those. Once legislative session stops running me ragged, I'll be able to between Heather and myself and Tom Sauls, our executive director, we'll each be working on one of those. So if you're not involved yet and want to be, just reach out to us.
Ryan, just to clarify, since you said the email, I volunteered, depending on the commitment, to be on the ag viability task force.
The other committee update to share, the Ways and Means Committee is something that Doug sits on and is a entity that is helping the WACD board to rank and prioritize the 80+ resolutions that our membership has adopted over the last couple of years, where the aim outreaches the capacity of WACD And so that group has been coming up with recommendations, and we'll also be looking at the resolution process, which is how the membership comes together and sets priorities for the association, and maybe finding a better way to not only formalize that process, but also how does the association gather and convene and make decisions in the absence of that year-long process that takes a couple months. So expect to hear something from that group in the not too distant future about how we can be of best service to our membership while acknowledging that we're smaller than most of the conservation districts in terms of staff. For the southwest area, so that's Thurston south and west to the coast, when Heather Smith was elected WACD National Director, her term on the WACD board as your area director just ended or ceased. So I will be appearing at the Clark Conservation District meeting on Thursday of next week. But you will see an email from me or from them saying that that vacancy exists. And that position would need to be filled to fill out the remainder of Heather's term, which I believe would go through October of this year. So you would, if you're interested, would sit on the state board. Bruce McDonald from Lewis CD is the other area representative, and each area has two. So right now there's one Southwest area person, and you know, before too long we'd like to see two there again. From the board meeting last night, no, sorry, Monday night, something that the state board talked about. One is that they reaffirmed the opposition of the WACD to House Bill 2499. That's the elections bill. One is that there's a number of technical errors. We talked the opting in, opting out, where in the statute should these things be. And the membership did vote last fall to oppose a requirement to put all conservation districts with an F1 be treated like a special purpose district. And there's a lot of special purpose district that has these exemptions. We did not talk about the landowner requirements, so you'll see conservation districts, you know, have four positions against positions. And we're hoping that if we can't get the representative to engage with us, that we can work to see the bill not continue forward and find some different conversations on that. The other item to share that was discussed in depth at the meeting was the election in Clallam Conservation District. I don't know if Sarah, if you've shared this information with your board. Okay. So there was a lawsuit challenging Clallam CD's 2024 election. That court case was decided in December, and that the commission decided not to appeal. Thank you. Decided not to appeal that case. And Clallam CD has written a letter to the commission asking for information about why that happened. And so that's something that I know that Kim Williams shared around. So I was just making sure that got shared with you all, that the topic of the 2024 Clallam election will reverberate, and we're not quite sure what that looks like for you all for your upcoming elections process, either this year or next year. The Ag Lands bill, we're not expecting that one to move forward. Wildfire funding, forest stewardship funding, talked about that one already. We're hoping to see some additional funding for districts. But no, just a lot of legislative stuff. A lot of legislative stuff and more legislative stuff.
Thanks, Ryan. Any questions? No, okay.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us to item 6, which is resolution 2026-01. This is our first resolution of the year, apparently. Cost of living adjustment. This is something we do every year. So Sarah, you want to just give us a quick overview of what this resolution is all about?
Absolutely. So Peter, you want to,
What's the resolution?
or I can do it. I have it up too.
Okay.
Oops, place. Yeah, absolutely. I will work on that while I'm talking at the same time. So this is a standard practice of TCD. If there is cost of living adjustment to be made, we do them in the first month of the year. effective January 1. We are in the middle of a 3-year collective bargaining agreement, which has the parameters spelled out within that agreement for what our cost of living adjustment will be. And so this is acknowledging that cost of living adjustment rate is included and applying it to all staff, including those not included in the collective bargaining agreement.
Including our executive director.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank you.
so, everybody clear on what this is all about? All right, we will need a motion on this resolution.
I will make a motion to accept, or what would be the right word?
Approve the resolution.
Approve the resolution, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Jennifer, is there a second?
Okay.
Seconded by Mary Ann. So all those in favor of this resolution of cost of living adjustment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It has passed. That moves us to item 7. This is governance. This is where we added a few extra things, but we'll start with the one that was already here, which is an update on our election.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with sort of TCD election piece, and then we'll cover some of the pieces related to Clallam, and then we'll support some of that. We'll receive counsel from him later in the meeting.
Yeah.
So TCD elections are going great. We have a really well dialed in process. They operate very well. Again, like our processes are publicizing our polling officers, our partnership with the county auditor's office. And so that's been really wonderful. We have very experienced people that work on our elections, and we're really grateful for that. We had one candidate filed by the deadline, which is David. David. And so that will be the name that's printed on the ballot. The timelines, if you guys get any questions about this from others in the community, please direct them to our webpage on elections. It is very comprehensive, but it is also very targeted on the phase of the process that we're in at that time, so that people don't get lost. They can access the procedure for their ballot request really easily. They can see the timeline tracker at the top when that window opens, when that window closes. They can understand when they need to vote and return their ballots by, all of those pieces. So definitely encourage you to share that as a resource with folks, because that's a great way with all the links to all the right places to make those requests. And then, as you know, we have a very specific elections process. People will make those requests to TCD. They'll be verified as voters of within our district boundary. They'll be provided a ballot, and then they'll mail their ballot back to the district, and those will be counted and tallied here. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. Just as a voter I've been voting for several years now. Like, will this show up in, like, how I've gotten it in the past is through your newsletter? Is that still gonna happen? And I can just, like, your newsletters are awesome and perfect. Okay, I see heads nodding. Perfect.
Absolutely. So it will go out in all of our media, right? So all of our TCD owned media. There's snippets of announcements in our podcast updates. There's here's a little look at the timeline on our website. It's a scrolling part in the top part of our front page of our website. It'll go out in social media campaigns. We really want to get the word out there in all the ways that we possibly can. So,
well, I'll apologize now that my family of 5 voters will be down to 3, because 2 are down in Georgia and one's in Georgia, one's in France. But I am encouraging my newly 18-year-old voter to participate in any opportunity he can to vote. So count on some votes from the Gentoli family.
we will verify
Thanks,
against the poll books, Josh. Any questions about the TCD election? So we've heard a couple of updates about the court case against the commission about the Clallam election. There were some findings that came out of that. That the board asked staff and legal counsel to look into those pieces, understand what the process piece errors were, where the pinch points were. And so I'm going to share a little bit of those pieces with you, Ben. I add some stuff to that and then see if you have any other questions or discussion. We'll receive again, like specific counsel later. So largely we did an analysis. A lot of the errors were offering opportunities that weren't covered in the initial elections resolution for voting. And so our processes and procedures follow our elections resolution to a T. And so those are what we're going to continue with this year. And so largely that's not an issue. We have a really secure verification process for voters that are interested in participating and interested in receiving a ballot. So we hold a mail-in only election. And so any of those sort of in-person pieces related to the Clallam election are not relevant for TCD. Ben, do you want to add any additional?
It wasn't just non-compliance with the resolution was part of it. It was also allowing the voting process not specified in the WAC. It would have been allowed under the statute, but the way the SEC is written, the WAC restricts the methods of voting. So the WAC needs to change to broaden it out, and I think the SEC probably is aware of that now. But
it's my understanding that they are open to that process, and there is a group of districts that are working on this issue. I will follow this up with a letter from that I'll share with you via email, a letter from the Clallam board calling for a resolution or a process to ensure that the SEC WACs are legally defensible elections. So I'll share that content with you. And of course, if anybody's interested in engaging in that process further, there'll be likely opportunities.
But there is no legal issue or problem with mail-in balloting that the TCD does.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All right, and we will, oh, go ahead.
I just want a quick question.
Yep.
When you send out the newsletter with the election in it, and maybe this isn't possible, can there be something in the subject line alerting that there's an election on this?
In the subject line of the email, we can look into that.
I mean, it
Yeah.
might just get a few more
Yeah.
people clicking
Right.
on it.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Yeah, there you go. That's really good.
There you go.
All right, thank you.
Thank
It's a
you.
great idea.
I'm assuming, Sarah, that goes to places like Thurston Talk, and I think there's one Olympia that's similar to that.
The jolt.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking, with the people that subscribe to our media stuff, that's a select group. By going to Thurston Talk or Joel, would get people that aren't necessarily plugged in.
And others from the Squally Valley News
Yeah.
and, but we generally do all of those sorts of.
That's what I remembered.
Yeah. Okay, let's then move to, one of the first item we added to this, which is annual plan development.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so again. That we mentioned last time is that we were going to start working at the staff level to sort of aggregate a bunch of these pieces. So largely what I have for you today is just an update on that process and some of the lines of thinking that we've had. I'll follow up this before your next meeting with a good draft for you to look at rather than combing through the draft we have now during the meeting, because it's a lot to do in the middle of the night. So we've had some really good conversations at the staff level around metrics and trackable metrics and collective impact and aggregating collective impact. We have had a really good conversation too about priority initiatives and marrying those deliverables from grants with those activities in a strategic plan. This is shaping up to be a very concise but really impactful annual plan. So not quite as lengthy as in the past, but really mirroring the ethic of our strategic plan that we put forward. And I think you guys are really going to like that.
Can you remind us what the deadline for adopting the annual plan is?
May.
May, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So right now we're anticipating bringing a draft to discuss with you at length in our work session. If there's minor changes, the board can put that forward for approval. If there's additional work that needs to be done and identified on either side, March is sort of our target, that we were anticipating it would take until March. It can take until May. You can adopt it in February if it's ready. So, we've got a little bit of flexibility. So a couple of the pieces that are gonna go with this is the annual plan document, which is gonna again pair and marry with that strategic plan so that you can see really clearly how those two cross-reference each other. We're also going to develop a stronger storytelling component. If you'll remember, part of our strategic plan was to focus not just solely on metrics. Those big collective impact metrics are important, but also there's a lot of things that you can't tell just through data. And you need to marry that with stories, with testimonials, with videos, with story maps. And so we've been working on how to articulate that plan development, right? So we'll spend a lot more time this year developing those pieces comprehensively, but we're developing that framework within the annual plan so you can see things that will tell through metrics and things that will tell through story. And then how the board can see those pieces play together and how our community can too, and how we'll report that. We're gonna put together like just a cheat sheet 1-pager of covering the high level stuff of our annual plan. So you have that, so you can share that. And then of course, if anybody wants that bigger, deeper, full page thing, folks can have that too. So,
Question,
yes.
I'm assuming that won't be before the meetings on February 10th with the legislature. A really nice thing to have in our hip pocket if we can.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not fatal.
But we won't have adopted it by then.
No, but it'll be a flavor of where we're thinking.
so our approach was to have a strategic plan handout that covers this now and into the future, bigger, comprehensive 1-pager. So it's up to the board if you'd like us to do a draft material of this and of just the annual plan and share that, or if you want sort of the 1-pager of the strategic plan.
I think the latter.
Yeah, strategic.
Okay. So yeah, that's on our list. We'll have some other customized project related handouts that underscore all the other things for legislative session, but the strategic plan one is what we're planning on focusing on. Any questions at this point? The next piece that you'll see is a draft in your email inbox with the full layout of the plan and all of the different pieces of what kinds of metrics under which goals will be tracked, and where the storytelling components will come in and sort of what those timelines look like.
Okay. So that's the annual plan. Now we'll shift towards outreach on the strategic plan.
Yes. So Nora and I have been talking in general about developing just a comprehensive communications strategy, which is a process that I've asked Nora to sort of lead and facilitate. We have a lot of really big pieces. We have this big, new, ambitious, innovative, visionary strategic plan that you guys just adopted. We have our rates and charges process happening this year. We have our CEC development piece happening. We have farmland preservation priorities. We have a lot of stuff out there. And so when, how, and where are we going to plug and play these pieces? And so engaging with the board as one of our, conversations that we had at the end of last year about the board participating in some of this community outreach stuff. The sort of immediate low-hanging fruit that the board brought to us was, let's start with strategic plan outreach. Let's just start with sharing this strategic plan with members of our community, with the jurisdictions. TJ sent some really helpful information here, which is the sort of timing of all of the meetings, and we can pull that up on the screen too. For all of our local governing bodies, and TJ expressed particular interest in bringing this message, bringing this strategic plan, bringing that 1-pager, nice visual version, and any other materials that you'd like to accompany that, to really share this is what TCD is doing now and this is where we're going. And so I think right now some conversation and anything you want to add to this, TJ, but about who would like to engage and participate in this? You know, the staff will support in terms of the logistical scheduling for these meetings.
Can you bring it back?
Oh, went away, yeah. While she's pulling that up, I will say that,
Just click.
so I pulled the stuff together mostly to see for myself when this would happen. It would be my intention to go to all of these jurisdictions and probably under public comment, just, give them the plan and give them a little 3-minute piece. I think it'd be ideal if we had one other board member go to each of these. I don't think we necessarily want to have more than one because then we have this whole quorum and public notice thing. But if we all committed to go to 1 or 2 of these, then we get some exposure to who we are to the local jurisdictions. So I think that'd be a good idea. So once we have the outreach piece and we're ready to go, we can look at specific dates. We're gonna go here this day in Olympia and this day in Tenino or whatever. And then we can kind of all sign up to participate in that.
Great,
That sounds good.
yeah.
So we can bring this back at the February meeting because we'll be preparing a lot of these materials for legislative day and they'll be primed and ready. And then we can talk about putting together a calendar of participation in those.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, then the last of the items we move to governance is a quick update on the CEC.
Yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of things happening in the community around that land piece. There are not as many answers by our meeting date as I had hoped around that. So there's still some tight lips around where some of these pieces are going and some of the conversations that are being had. I'm in particular phone tag with a couple of key players in this process. I will say on the other side of this that we are meeting with new congressional staff. Daniel Pilthorpe has gone on to other things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so we are scheduling a meeting with new staffers and introducing ourselves in this project that was a really high priority for Senator Patty Murray's office. We are also planning on applying for a curb planning grant. We found some different opportunities in these smaller 50K planning grants that we can put
Could
towards
you say what CURB is so everyone knows?
Community Economic Revitalization Board. It's a strategy that we it's through Department of Commerce. We explored many years ago in their loan process for building. And there's a really big sort of private sector nexus there. And we didn't feel like it was the requirements they had met sort of the goals of TCD at this time. The planning grant piece is a lot more innovative and flexible around how work that we're doing as a public entity services private businesses like farm operations. The thresholds of those qualifications are just different amongst their various programs, and it's not necessarily advertised as such. You have to go through a conversation process with them. They sort of cast a wide net to see what they'll get and then let you know if you're something that they want to continue to have conversation with. And so we've done that. This will bring in some additional funding, right, to TCD if we're successful. They have a fair amount of funding right now that they're trying to move. And so we're really excited about that opportunity to apply and secure these funds now. We're gonna come back to the board and have some conversation next month about some of the consultant opportunities that we believe would be really appropriate for some of these funds around getting some of the conceptual materials around CEC put together, as well as some of the financial infrastructure and planning pieces.
Questions on that? Okay, thank you for the update. Last item under governance then is to take a look ahead at what we will have on our agenda next month. Pull that up.
We did a fairly extensive download of what happened on the 10th in the 24th meeting. Meetings.
Want to go back to a work session?
Okay, so there we go. There's work
Let's
session.
report out.
Yep. So let's add item, make it the new item 4, which is legislative day and meetings summary.
And add a second executive session to the meeting topic.
You want strategic outreach?
Yeah, and the
Yes.
annual plan again as
Yeah.
well.
Both of those.
And the community partner is gonna be Dan Calvert with the Center Landscape Program.
Calvert?
Yeah.
And
An annual plan. The other piece there. Right. And then on the board meeting, Ben suggested a second executive session on potential litigation, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. So let's add a second executive session then.
No. You have to have different reports out.
Yeah.
I'll add it.
So 10 will be a report out and then make a new 11 for the potential litigation.
Yeah.
No, just executive session report out will be 10.
I think the formatting is easier to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll add
Okay.
it.
All right.
I think the issue, yeah.
It's just how
Word.
we do it.
It is, it gets wonky.
We all know what we want to do though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that's burning that people want to put in there right now? Okay, that's a good draft then, a good starting point, subject to change as it always is. All right.
Can I add one more on the, it's not a pardon report, but who's gonna be going to the NACD annual meeting? That may be too late. That's the 25th. Is our meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's too
Never
late,
mind, never
yeah.
mind.
Okay. Well, in fact, we would have a report out from NACD by that point. So that's what we should add to the work session.
Could we put it as number 4 because Dan's presentation is gonna tee that up.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's gonna be participating. We'll be doing a lot of joint pieces.
Okay. All right, there's our starting point for next month. And thanks, Doug. That was a good catch. That then takes us to the last part of our agenda tonight, which is an executive session to discuss potential litigation. This is permitted under RCW 4230-110-1I. This executive session will include only board members, executive director, and legal counsel. We will discuss and get guidance from our counsel. Then we will come back and we will report out. We won't make any decisions in executive session because we can't. It is now 7:08. This executive session is scheduled for 10 minutes, so we'll call it 7:09. We will reconvene at 7:19 for the report out and for the wrap up of our meeting. Next month, Ben. Okay, we are back from executive session at 7:19 as promised. We had a good discussion with council and took no action, made no decisions in that executive session. Which brings us to the end of our meeting tonight. So the only thing we have left to do is to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by David, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mary Ann. All those in favor of wrapping up, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay,
See you at-
we are done at 7:19. There we go.
I'm gonna